we're starting off today with AEW Dynamite, as the 200th episode of the company's flagship show saw the debut of none other than Rob Van Dam. During the broadcast, RVD confronted FTW champion Jack Perry and made it clear he wants to take the FTW title from Jungle Boy, adding that he has a history of retiring titles. This was a nod to RVD's days with WWE, where he was both the final European champion and hardcore champion, and an FTW title match has been confirmed for next week. Amid RVD's debut, Fightful Select reported that the WWE Hall of Famer has been the subject of internal discussions about Van Dam competing at All In later this month in London. While RVD hasn't had a televised match in the US in some time, he has remained active in the ring, so would be in ring shape to possibly face Perry at All In, as well as next week. It's certainly interesting to see RVD in AEW, given it wasn't too long ago that he fired off an anti-AEW tweet saying those in all petite wrestling don't even look like wrestlers. Nevertheless, RVD is in AEW and could be around for a while. And what did you make to this debut this week? During the American Nightmare documentary, Triple H ruffled some feathers when he spoke about Cody Rhodes leaving AEW, saying Cody didn't dream of running a secondary promotion. Many found the comment to be out of line and dismissive of Cody's success with AEW, but what does the man running AEW think of what was said? While speaking with the Orlando Sentinel, Tony Khan was asked about Triple H's comment and made it clear that AEW is not playing second fiddle to anyone. He said, "We certainly won't be the secondary promotion at All In. We're number one in the UK, on TV, and with a record gate. I have a lot of respect for Cody. I know these weren't his words to be fair, but we're not secondary in a lot of markets. For the first time in a long time, WWE has been secondary in a lot of markets. I'm proud of where we're at, and we're not taking a backseat to anybody." While some found the game's comment to be out of line, AEW are hardly blameless when it comes to taking shots, and Khan himself has done just that many times. AEW has done a lot in a short amount of time, but is still a secondary promotion according to the game. And do you agree or disagree with what Triple H said? Let us know in the comments. Last year, Vince McMahon shockingly retired from WWE due to the hush money scandal, which saw the chairman pay millions of dollars to female employees. While McMahon would later return to WWE, he would reimburse the company $17.4 million for the investigation into him, and there's now been another problem for the billionaire. In the 2023 second quarter earnings report, it was disclosed that on July 17, 2023, federal law enforcement agents executed a search warrant and served a federal grand jury subpoena on Vince McMahon. We should stress that at this time, no charges have been brought up in relation to this investigation, but depending on how the situation goes, that is a real possibility. In a company-wide email, McMahon expressed his confidence that this federal investigation will not cause any problems for him, adding that he is focused on the Endeavor deal and recovering from his recent spinal surgery. That spinal surgery happened last month, and in the earnings report, it was said that McMahon is on a medical leave of absence, but will remain on as executive chairman. As to whether McMahon's current condition will affect this subpoena, that remains to be seen, but what do you make of all this? Sound off in the comments below. This weekend, WWE will host its second biggest annual event, SummerSlam, but despite being a hit with fans, Rhea Ripley won't be defending her Women's World Championship. Not only this, but the Becky Lynch vs. Trish Stratus match that had been announced for SummerSlam has been moved to the August 14th Raw, and it's safe to say that the women of WWE aren't happy. In a tweet, Becky Lynch used some un-PG language to express her frustration, while Ripley retweeted a fan's comment that expressed their anger over how the women are being treated. SummerSlam will have two women's matches, the Ronda Rousey-Shayna Baszler MMA Rules match and the Women's Universal Title Triple Threat, but do you think more should have been done? Let us know in the comments. On this week's NXT, Wes Lee and Carmelo Hayes faced Oro Mensah and Noam Dar, but this highly athletic contest wasn't without a botch. During the bout, Mensah was supposed to springboard into the ring to take out Lee, but instead slipped and fell, and while WWE's production team avoided the botch, the crowd wasn't as forgiving. Though the camera cut away from the botch, chants of "you f***ed up" echoed around the arena, and were so loud WWE's production team censored the expletive. Ultimately, the match saw Mensah and Dar get the win, with the latter hitting the Shining Wizard, but this botch definitely put a sour note on an otherwise excellent match. It wasn't too long ago that WWE were teasing a split in the Judgment Day because of tensions between Finn Balor and Damian Priest, but this week, Dominik Mysterio delivered a big boot to the Irish superstar. To be fair, Mysterio's boot to Balor's face was a complete accident caught by fan footage during this week's Raw, and it goes to show to watch where you're going when exiting the ring. In 1987, Dusty Rhodes created the Wargames match, and while the match has been brought back in recent years to WWE, Cody Rhodes has never competed in the bout. This week, Rhodes spoke to the New York Post about the match, and while he'd love to enter the double cage, Rhodes was very skeptical that he'll be chosen for the match. It has been reported that Wargames will be the new Survivor Series tradition following the success of last year's show, and time will tell which two sides go to war this November inside the iconic structure. Now, the past few years have been very good to Kevin Owens, who headlined WrestleMania 38 Night 1 last year with Steve Austin, and headlined Night 1 this year by winning the tag team titles. While Owens is doing very well now, that wasn't always the case. And in an interview with Ariel Helwani, Owens spoke about considering leaving WWE in 2019 and being encouraged to do so. When I wasn't on WrestleMania 35 a few weeks before, I didn't understand why. I understood plans had changed. I was completely fine with it. I was like, what else am I gonna do? I can do something else on the show. They're like, nah, it doesn't fit there, it doesn't fit there, it just doesn't make sense. It was driving me insane. I remember having a talk with Paul Heyman at a show, Raw or SmackDown near Gorilla Position, and I was losing my mind. Paul, I can't believe I'm not on WrestleMania. He's like, I can't believe it either. What do I do? Just walk in there and threaten to quit? No, that's not how I'm gonna handle this, if that's how you feel. It was driving me crazy. I couldn't go to WrestleMania 35. I flew to New York, I had some appearances, and I flew back home to watch it with my wife and kids because I didn't want to be anywhere near it. I flew back the next morning for more appearances. While Owens in AEW or back on the Indies would have been interesting to see, it wasn't meant to be. And do you think staying with WWE worked out for the best, or should Owens have left in 2019? LA Knight is one of WWE's most popular superstars right now, but his booking on TV is hardly reflecting just how popular he is. Knight often comes up short in major matches, such as the Men's Money in the Bank ladder match and the US title invitational, and these losses have left many worried about his future. WRKD Wrestling reports that there are some in the company that are worried that WWE won't strike while the iron is hot, and that eventually the momentum will fade and WWE will miss their chance. We've seen in the past WWE take too long to pull the trigger on a superstar, and either they don't do it at all, or the push given to a wrestler is underwhelming as fans have already moved on. It certainly feels like now is the time to pull the trigger on Knight, who was WWE's top merchandise seller in July, outperforming the likes of Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins, and even the Bloodline. At SummerSlam, Knight will be part of the Slim Jim Battle Royal, a match many feel is beneath the massively over star, and if he doesn't win, it could be a very worrying sign for LA Knight's future. In April, WWE announced a deal had been reached for Endeavor to acquire the promotion, but since then we've heard little of this blockbuster agreement. During the recent earnings call for the company, Nick Khan provided an update saying the Endeavor deal and the merger of UFC and WWE into TKO Holdings is expected to be completed by the end of this year in a truly monumental change for the wrestling promotion. Back to AEW Dynamite now, as after weeks of rumors, the All In 2023 card has started coming together, and the show will be headlined by AEW World Champion MJF. On last night's show, MJF confirmed that he'll defend his title against Adam Cole, and we'll have to see just how strong their friendship really is when the AEW title is on the line. More from Dynamite, as the show's main event saw Hikaru Shida make history by becoming the first ever two-time AEW Women's World Champion. Shida was able to dispatch of Toni Storm and win the gold, and after her first reign took place during the pandemic, it's fitting that her second reign comes mere weeks ahead of AEW's most attended event. And we're ending today with Cora Jade, who quit NXT on this week's show, citing a recent loss to Dana Brooke as the final straw. In an update on her Instagram story, Jade shared a black screen with a goodbye emoji, seemingly making it clear that she's indeed leaving NXT for good. It remains to be seen what's next for Cora Jade, but rumors are circulating of a main roster call-up, and fans will have to remain tuned in to NXT and the main roster to know for sure.